This person is a monster. It's a subhuman. This person doesn't think like you and I do. This person is not going to make sense.
Welcome to Jonbenét Ramsey Sketchy Details Part 15. If you have not watched Parts 1 through 14, it's highly advised that you do because these are in chronological order. This video, along with every video in the Jonbenét Ramsey Sketchy Details series, are intended for educational purposes only and are not intended for children at all. I first want to address the last video, Part 14. Obviously, Part 14 is one of my shortest videos in this series, and that is simply due to the fact that it was extremely rushed with very little to no re-editing or revising. I simply felt urged to share with all of you as soon as humanly possible this new revelation I had after my neighbors shared those S&M bondage pictures with me. I guess it all just affected me a little bit more than I expected or thought that it did. I'm fully aware of how harsh and to the point Part 14 is, and for that I do apologize. I also want to use a portion of this video to handle that topic in a bit more delicate kind of way. Plus, that is totally not the way that I want to end this series. I don't want to end on such a tragic and explicit sort of way. So I'm going to try to wrap this series up within at least 3 videos, this being one of 3. So I'm going to try to bring this series to a close. One of the very last videos I'm going to do is we're going to do just like a recap of all of the numbers that we've talked about, because I do realize that during the time that I made this series, my opinions and ideas of what happened on this case have changed and have morphed into something else. They've either grown or they've changed completely. So I realized that if you watch, some of the first videos, they're not going to match up to the last videos because of how much my opinion and ideas on this case have changed. But also to kind of bring us full circle and realize where we're at with this case. Unfortunately, I do believe that this case will never, ever be solved. There will never be justice for this little girl, unfortunately. And that's a very sad, sad fact. But I do believe that it is a fact that we will never see the perpetrators of Jonbenét's crime and the guilty people be held accountable. But when I step back and look at it unbiasedly, it does appear that this case will never be solved because of how protected it is from all these different angles and because of exactly what it is hiding underneath this crime. Some of you may have noticed that I have released like either 3 or 4 other videos after Part 14 that are not directly related to the Jonbenét Ramsey Sketchy Details series. I just want to make it known that they are connected in the aspect of any video that I'm going to make on this channel at all is going to have to deal with this industry that I'm talking about. So the Anne Heche video and all the names videos, they are connected to this industry as well. I'm going to make a further video on Anne Heche and explain how she is basically a Jonbenét who survived. I also promised to, before wrapping up this series, to explain exactly what I think happened on Christmas night 1996, and also to tell you guys about how her murder directly relates to the death of a very popular, very well-known Hollywood producer. I told you guys that in one of the last videos and I kind of just skipped over it. Well, I promise that I will reveal that and we'll just kind of bring all of this case to a close is what I'm hoping to do with these next 3 videos or so. Also, to use these next ending videos to correct any mistakes I have made, because I am human, and yes, there are mistakes in the videos, especially like the one that comes to mind first is the 2 Kim Archuleta things. Don't know where the hell I got that, but her name was Pam, not Kim. So that's a big, big mistake that is basically an entire half of one of the videos, which really sucks. But I do want to go back and correct any mistakes that I have made or any sort of mix-up or anything like that, because I want this to be as clear and concise as I can possibly make it because this case is crazy and it's definitely not a clear and simple sort of case. So I think we're on number 72. So for number 72, I'm going to try my best to explain what I think happened December 25th, 1996. Now, as previously stated, I believe that two different events, two different wrongdoings were done on Christmas night, 1996, to Jonbenét, and one of them is the Patsy ritual, and the other one is the one that I'm not exactly clear on. I can't really decide if it was just a sort of Freemasonic, satanic ritual, or if it was more something that was business run and had to deal more with the child porn. I don't know, but either way, that's ritualistic in itself, so there was some sort of other ritual that happened on top of Patsy's ritual. I just don't know if it was a religious sort of ritual or this child porn ritual. For Patsy's, I believe Patsy's was premeditated. I believe that Patsy was going to kill Jonbenét on Christmas night, no matter what. I think the bracelet and the dress and all this stuff just solidifies that for me. The other ritual obviously would have to be pre-planned as well. So this could be why Patsy planned to kill Jonbenét on Christmas night, because she knew that this other ritual was going to happen. But as luck would have it, Jonbenét ended up dying, or almost dying, becoming extremely close to death in this first ritual, this either child porn or quote-unquote religious ritual. And this kind of propelled Patsy to do it even more. Now, with Patsy's ritual, the part that I'm not certain on is I don't know if Patsy's forefront personality planned and executed this, or if it was one of Patsy's other personalities that planned this without the full front Patsy knowing it. I definitely lean towards the story of it being one of Patsy's alternate personalities, because all the clues that she left and just all these little hints made it seem like that it was a personality of Patsy's that had become aware of exactly what was happening without Patsy really knowing what was happening, and this other personality was trying to save Jonbenét and Patsy as well. This other, just the note and all these clues, they seem very, very maternal, but not just towards Jonbenét, towards Patsy as well. So I do think that it was one of Patsy's other personalities that did the ritual, that planned the ritual. The first ritual, though, I don't know, it does kind of lean with me more towards the child porn. Before this series, making this series, I leaned more towards it was just some sort of weird underworld, like, ritual, some, dark religion ritual. But everything that I found out with this case and stuff, I'm convinced that it was more so of a child porn thing. I do kind of feel that Patsy and Jonbenét were drugged on Christmas night, 1996. And that is also why Patsy was in the same clothes, is because she was passed out in those clothes before they got home, and they meaning John, whoever, men, put Patsy in bed so that they could continue the ritual with Jonbenét. That's what I think happened. So two different things. Either way, that poor little girl was going to die that night. I do believe that Patsy was going to kill her. The premonitions she had, the bracelet, everything, it's just Patsy. One of Patsy's personalities had this planned, because at some point this same alternate personality became aware of her situation, Patsy's situation, and Jonbenét's situation, and wanted to stop it, wanted to change it. So maybe it was Patricia, Patsy's natural God-given name, I guess, because I think I'm going to make a couple videos after this series explaining how this mind control split personality thing works, because I feel that a lot of people that don't believe is because they think it's going to be more like physically obvious and it's going to be more mechanically like done. I just feel like people don't realize how subtle it is and how very, very easy it is. It's not so technically done. It is very easy to manipulate these people and control these people to the point where they will do anything that you say without even questioning if they really want to. And then if you add the trauma-based shit on top of it, it's very easy to fracture people's minds. And I don't think that a lot of people are aware of that. I think they think it's very hard and that it would be more obvious in the people that have it, that they would be more robotic in nature and in their gestures. And that's totally not the case. It's very subtle and very, very easily hidden underneath normality. Depending on who the programmers were, I believe in probably like, I don't know, anywhere from part 4 to part 7, I explained that there's 2 different groups that know how to do this to people. Well, lo and behold, during the making of the series, I found out that there's like 4 or 5 different groups, different international groups that know how to do this. So I am totally going to make a video on that and explain that as well, because there's one group that know how to do that totally caught me off guard. I did not think that these people knew how to do this, or that they would. They seemed way more innocent, but apparently not. So we'll go into that as well. However, with, I believe, the military programming, it probably is way more technical, and these people probably are way more robotic in nature and gestures. And because of the fact that Jonbenét was doomed, if you will, from both sides of her parents, on her father's side and her mother's side, I can't decide which programming she would have had, because, okay, her father is coming from the military type programming, okay, which is the extreme torture, extreme technical, very compartmentalized, lots of layering. It's very hard for those people to heal and to deprogram. But her mother, Patsy, is coming from the like religious, satanic, incestual, Masonic form of programming, which they are 2 totally different types of programming. They are trauma based, okay? Patsy's is the sexual abuse, trauma. The military trauma would be more physical, more fear, lots of very horrible things being done. So I don't know which one she would have, because her parents had one of each. So it's hard for me to really think about or come to a satisfactory decision, for me at least, which programming Jonbenét would have had. It kind of looks like more towards Patsy's sort of programming, and maybe Burke had his dad's, because Burke does look very traumatized. His eyes are crazy, crazy. But yeah, so that's kind of just what for 72, I guess. I guess 73 is, okay, so I found this the other day. This is from meaww.com. It's the first time I've ever been to this website, but so this proves and solidifies that yes, Pam Griffin did introduce Patsy to Randy Simmons. So I was right on that. So I do really think that Pam wrote that poem now, because so she definitely did introduce them. And I think that she did so because she sort of preyed upon Patsy. She knew what Randy was looking for, the type of mom that Randy would need to be able to pull this off. And she knew that Patsy was easy to get to, that Patsy's priorities weren't in place, and that Patsy was very fame and, social driven. She was very, like, me, I want to be the most popular, my family wants to be the most popular, and so Pam knew that Patsy would agree to this and would be sort of an easy prey. So I do really think that Pam wrote that Manchurian Doll poem and does have guilt over that, because this article says that she tried to tell the police many times that Randy was involved. So one of the 30 duos from her poem could very well be her and Randy. Yeah, they were not a couple, but they, as a team, had a part in the perishing of this poor little girl. So there's it's fact in my mind. In my book, I wrote it off. Yes, Pam wrote that first poem. Pam is guilty because she purposefully introduced Patsy to Randy because she knew that Patsy was going to be easy prey. So she's very guilty. about that. That is a very bad thing to do. That's not innocence. You could tell in her poem she was guilty. She knows way more than she's ever told the police. And all the people that got arrested with JonBenét pictures, and all the people that were trying to steal like autopsy pictures, and the people that were going after Randy for his photo negatives, I think all directly tie to this industry that was like a mad hunt to get a hold of those pictures to hide them. And I do feel like there were journalists who were also on this hunt who were trying to find them to expose them. So that part of the whole circus is a very important part, because that part shows this industry, and it showed like that was the closest to some sort of truth that we would have got. Everything else, like the whole John Mark Carr, I mean, he does relate to this industry, but that was a decoy. And I do believe that it was purposefully done after Patsy died, because Patsy probably wouldn't have been able to go along with that. Patsy may have known who he was. I kind of don't feel like it, but I don't know. He said that he had talked to Patsy. I don't think he ever talked to Patsy. And Patsy would have been like, no, excuse me, we never spoke. So I think it was planned that John Mark Carr, quote unquote, came out after Patsy had died. Just more distraction. And this case shows us a lot about gaslighting. Like, this case gaslights us all the time, and it does it to everybody. Like, everything that is really guilty in this crime gets projected onto somebody else, onto something else, some other quote-unquote suspect. So then, yeah, I guess I do have a definitive decision of what I think the first ritual was. It's clearly something to do with media, so it's child porn. The first ritual was some sort of film that they were making, and it got out of hand. So I guess, yeah, I do have a definitive one. So boom, what I think happened December 25th, 1996, is she was attacked during a child porn filmmaking thing that went wrong, and then Patsy's ritual on top of that. And it all collided into both, like the two rituals smashed into each other. Patsy's was rushed. I don't think Patsy was going to call 911 originally. I think she was going to let JonBenét be found, and what she was going to leave her like. Probably like to be found by John, and she would just make it seem like that had happened during the child porn thing. But then I think, she ended up dying or becoming extremely close to death in the first ritual, and at some point John left, because I don't think John is at the house when she's making the 911 call. I believe that the voices people hear at the end of the 911 call is John coming back home and coming inside, and her talking to him. And maybe he was with another male, maybe Fleet White, maybe John Andrew, who knows. I do believe that because of the backwards, little research thing I did on that 911 call. To me, it clearly, she says, they're here, he's here. Two people entered the house at the end of the 911 call, and I think it was John and somebody else. That's also why Patsy called everyone else to come over, like all the family friends, because she didn't want to be alone with John after he found out she called 911. You know what I mean? So she was surrounding herself with people so that he couldn't do whatever, so that he had to behave, really. But this is all sort of just an update video. I didn't want y'all to think that part 14 was the end of this series. I just wanted to let you guys know that I am going to bring it to a close, though, and let you guys know what to expect, and, just kind of apologize for part 14, acknowledge part 14. I do realize that it was a bit harsh and stuff, but it doesn't change my mind on what I think happened in this case. So this is going to be the end of this video, but like I said, within the next 3 or 4 videos, I am going to try to bring this series to a close. So we'll do a recap and sort of just bring it all to the sad end, because it does end sadly, because this case is not going to be solved, which really, really sucks. But I don't know. I think I've pretty much said all I can say about this case. I think it's pretty obvious what happened to her, and it's pretty obvious that it will never be like held accountable. These people will never be held accountable. These people will never, have to deal with what they did, which really, really sucks. But I don't know. So I feel like it's time to bring it to an end. So thank you for watching, and God bless. Evil on this scale is impossible to comprehend. To know who actually murdered JonBenét Ramsey would be to know what world we live in, where we are.